All right. Why am I not showing up? Hold up. Wonderful. I had just fixed all this, I thought, right before. Give me a moment, fellas. Where are you? I am not getting picked up at all. So 1 second, I will be right back. There we have it. All right, looks like OBS decided to, with perfect timing, crash on me when things weren't showing up. But we are back. Happy Sunday to everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Horizon Exploration, the channel's tabletop RPG, where we have themed D&D 5e to some sci-fi, and we are going through a bit of an adventure with 5 good friends. And I'm Dregn Durant of the Yasuhiro88ch, and I will be the GM for this campaign. So with that, let's make some quick adjustments here. I do need to make some movements for the banner. I'll drop that down, and let's also get myself dropped down while I'm at it. Now, let's see, I was making a few changes, so hopefully everything loads in properly. Let's see. And yeah, that's right. OBS crashed on me, so unfortunately all of our party member icons have currently been reset, but that's all right. We got tokens here to represent them. I'm sure their beautiful faces will pop in any minute. Let me see if I can quickly try to refresh that. This always gives me a difficult time. Maybe what I need to do is just put some still images there as a backup. Really wish I could like cache it too. That would be nice. But let me try. Speaking of cache, if I refresh that, nope. It looks like it's just taking some time thanks to OBS crashing. It doesn't have that information loaded up. And speaking of that information, let me go ahead and let's get the party members in here. Hey, everybody.
Hi.
Hello. Hello, hello.
All right.
How's it going?
While I am making a quick adjustment here, we'll go through some quick introductions of who our party members are. So using the tokens, we'll start up at the top. We have Sam Stonewill, played by Peter.
Hi, everyone. Apparently today I'm a mountain.
Shut up, Mr. Fuji. All right. Next up, we have Caden Lumen, played by Calvin.
Hello, the local weird guy.
Says you self-proclaimed.
I feel like it's pretty obvious to everyone if
We'll
not
see.
I'm doing something wrong.
We'll see. All right. We have Dario Cortez, played by Sergio.
Hey, stand-in weird guy when the weird guy's not here typically.
There we go.
My substitute. Oh no, he's coming for my job.
We have Koji Akiyama, played by Corey.
Somehow in the last 10 minutes I got spooky, scary skeletons stuck in my head, and I'm about as angry as Koji.
Hell yeah.
Scary skeleton.
And last up, Maxine Beck, played by Sean.
Hey, how's it going? Playing the group's marksman.
Yes, sir. All right. Yeah, it looks like the Fuji links are currently giving me a bit of a hard time. So let's go ahead and... That's not the button I was looking for. Where is it? That's the one.
You just Star Wars'd it? This is the button you're looking for.
Apparently. All right, we're just going to leave those. All right, they'll pop in eventually. So with that, though, let's get into a brief little recap of what happened on last week, episode 9 of Horizon Exploration. So the group, we were down a Koji, but Koji, after your brutal rage, taking down the leader of the group, pummeling his face to oblivion after the party had regrouped, or not regrouped, found one another once again under duress of potential threats firing back at Maxine, which is where Maxine was very kind enough to put a few energy bullet rounds through their faces. But Koji, right, got up in there, took out the big bad of that encounter, and the party had then regrouped for a little bit and discussed with the others what to do next. While we are doing this recap, let's actually come back to the little world map here, or not world map, but the little overmap. Not really sure what the correct term for it is. And come on. There we go. So yes, the group explored down in this kind of southern area of the map and were met by some hostiles. Turns out after the exchange of fire, there was a couple of surviving members who were taken prisoner at the end. And after asking some questions, trying to get some information of what they were doing here, in parallel, some others in the group were looking to enter the caves that they believed to be where they had first landed on Aurora Green. And Dario, around this time, had revealed a neat little gadget of his, a backpack sort of mounted drone. And if I recall, Dario, it was called Gray Ghost.
That's right.
Yes. And the drone managed to navigate within the cave. We went back to the cave, and you had found that the insectoids that were previously encountered. So coming back to 1, you had spotted some remaining exoskeletons of the creatures, which Cedar, who was kind of backseat commenting and maybe suggesting what actions to take, was very curious to see. And then you had also, continuing for deeper within the cave and navigating around, had come across the creatures that the exoskeleton belongs to. The creatures that you had seen before, the somewhat insectoid resembling multi-limbed creatures, and many of them that were swarming to some location. They all seemed to be traversing in the same direction, heading somewhere which you cautiously followed. Having eventually come across a chamber somewhere in the far end of the internal network, you, and I believe, who was it? It was Sam and Caden? No, Sam and someone else was watching over your shoulder. Who was that? Was it Sam and somebody?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see here. Maybe I have it. Perception. Okay, it was Sam and
I think it
Maxine.
was Samus. Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of the final rolls that we had done the previous night. But through the swarm and the swirl that they were making through this final narrow tunnelway, you saw something on the far reaches of past the frenzying swarm that were all trying to squeeze into this back chamber. The drone kept watch at a distance, and through the distance, a couple of you guys noticed. Oh shoot, which one was it? I forgot to rename it. I believe it was this one here. Does that look familiar, party?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were getting sights on the far reaches, bits and pieces of what's roughly depicted here, of some darker shelled creatures with much more vibrant reds rather than what you had seen from the previous creatures within. You couldn't really get a good look at it, but Dario, I believe you were the one in particular who, through the swarm, this again maelstrom of creatures moving about, had a very, very small glance at some sort of humanoid within it all. And only spotting it for just the barest of moments, it was then covered right up by the swarm once again. Now, as you were considering to explore further within, this was around the time where Caden was having a small conversation with some of the others and really started to notice something feeling off. And it was around this point where he ran up to the rest of the group shouting, Kaden, what was it? It was just
We
simply
need to leave.
we need to leave. Something's
off,
wrong.
Something's wrong.
Yep. The party obviously very unsure at Caden's words, inquired a little bit of what might be wrong, and Caden unfortunately didn't have much to give, but Banuk had made an exchange with Caden. Caden expressed that the feeling was very similar to what he had felt when an event at Edrison took place. Edrison being a location that Caden is familiar with, and it turns out Banuk is also fairly familiar with through past conversation. Banuk only took a fraction of a moment to really process what was being said, but soon agreed with Caden that regardless of what this something may be, it would be pertinent to depart. And with that, Sam mentioned to Dario that maybe it's time to back out. Dario retrieved the drone back through the caves where he had traversed, out of the cave and back onto his pack. And from there, the party had left the entrance area of the cave and had begun to make it back to the convoy that was parked outside a narrow passway where the other soldiers and vehicles sat. From there, that is roughly where we're going to be picking back up. Last session, we did reveal what is soon to happen, but the group, there's 4 vehicles, had split off into various vehicles. We have with Banuk, who is currently within the vehicle which has the mounted weapon on the back, Dario and Caden. And in the vehicle that is a bit more like a larger Humvee, suitable for fitting about 6 to 7 people, contains a couple soldiers as well as Cedar Koji, who is sitting in the back, not looking so hot. His skin's a bit pale. Sam, you had entered that vehicle seeing Koji there. And Koji, you're holding on tightly to your bag, having last session after your raid returning to the convoy to take a bit of a rest as well as retrieve your duffel bag, which contains your Psycho G. And having taken a dose, you're currently still recovering in the back of this vehicle. However, Sam, when you get into the vehicle, you find Koji in the back, and he seems to be muttering something under his breath that you can't quite make out without getting close, but Koji is a bit tossing and turning, almost as if he's seeing a nightmare. And Koji, I need you to make a wisdom saving throw.
2 seconds.
Our first roll.
And while that roll is coming in, Maxine decided to get into one of the other vehicles that currently houses the female scientist-looking individual from the new group that they had discovered. And the final convoy contains the gentleman who was wielding a bit of a, or not wielding, whose appearance seemed to be slightly off from a traditional human that a couple party members had noticed. All right.
That is a 16.
16 on the wisdom saving throw. All right. Koji, you are currently seeing a bit of a nightmare. It's not making a whole lot of sense to you within the haze of Psycho G and just the exhaustion, but you do remember, or you do catch glimpses of it and register it in your consciousness. You find yourself reaching out, and there's this overwhelming feeling that someone important to you is leaving, getting farther away, and you wish to go with them, but no matter what you do, you seem to be just chasing nothing but an increasing distance between you and whatever it is that you're chasing after. Sam, you're going to see Koji's arm kind of reach out very slightly, almost like he's trying to reach for something, but very, very subtly.
I go up and I sit in front of Koji and I grab his arm and I look at him and say, "Hey, big man, you don't look too well. You doing okay?"
Am I like coherent right now?
Give me a Constitution saving throw.
I don't know why that's not going through. Give me 1 second.
Maybe just oh, there it goes.
There you go.
All right. Yeah, 2 came through, so I'm going to use the top one. Yeah, Koji, with Sam kind of talking to you, your awareness is kind of fading in between as your eyes flutter a bit open, and you recognize Sam's face, but also around this time, as you're kind of snapping out of it, there is this overwhelming feeling that you weren't just chasing something, but you were trying to run away from something. As the space around you, behind you, you just feel like it's dangerous. It's dangerous. Like, this is bad.
I can't fucking do this right now, man. I feel like I'm dying. Get away.
I take my hand off his arm and I feel the slimy stuff on my hand and I look at it and go, "Is this normal for you? This is the second time you've shedded skin like this?"
I can't, man. And his eyes are just kind of like...
Yeah. Koji's a bit incoherent. He's going in and out. He definitely... You've seen this behavior before when Koji previously in the camp had taken some of the psycho... I believe you took some...
I pull out my flask and offer him some alcohol.
Koji...
Drink some of this. It'll help.
You recognize what Sam is putting in front of you, and you catch a brief little whiff of the alcohol within, which...
If I can, I'm gonna reach out and take it.
Yeah, you're gonna take it. You're gonna probably take a nice swig of it, trying to numb whatever it is that's going on. But you're conflicted, as many times in the past that this feeling may have come from differing situations, but the feeling is very much the same, where you're stuck in this limbo of trying to chase after something while still escaping another something behind you in your past, possibly. But Koji is definitely not looking hot, but the convoy begins to whir as the engines... the word I'm looking for, as the engines rumble and begin to set off. It's at this time that Maxine, you're keeping an eye out on the prisoner. She is just looking completely frantic, like out of the loop, not sure what's going on. Why is everyone... she's looking about, and Maxine, you'll hear her go, "What's going on?"
We're leaving this place. Just calm down and stay put.
Give me a... Gosh, what would it be? Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna make her roll. What's your charisma modifier?
-1.
Mine is... Oh, well... All right. She looks at you, pauses at your words, and if I recall, you had a weapon pointed at her, and you don't sound calm. Is everything okay? Are we gonna die?
Not pointed at her, just kind of
Out.
at the ready.
Yep.
Hand on her, though.
But she is very nervous, and you can see her eyes are wide and looking a bit frantic and lost.
We're leaving this place because of whatever they did there is doing something. We're getting away so we can be safe. You stay calm, you stay safe.
And it's around at this time that the vehicles start to rush off to follow the lead that Banuk is making. It's around this time that Dario and Caden, you're looking about. You guys are spotting these arcs of energy, or at least Caden, you're spotting these arcs of energy as you blink, almost like light spots that kind of burn the back of your eyelids. And Dario, you are looking about, and I don't recall, was it, maybe this was also Sam, but you spot there's some odd areas in your surroundings where, again, you on the horizon see like the collapse of a mirage, the kind of wavy, the heat wave that usually will distort the space seems to...
This one was not me. I rolled very poorly as we were leaving.
So maybe Maxine then. But you guys will spot, looking about, these spots that collapse upon themselves, and as soon as you kind of notice the shift in the air and look in the direction of where these distortions are taking place, they seem to almost collapse on themselves and pop like a bubble and vanish from view. And it takes you a few moments to even consider that you had seen anything at all, but it happens frequently enough that you believe that they're real. Something is there. Something is happening. And Banuk, looking about, turns to Caden. You're sure something's gonna happen? I'm not feeling anything, but clearly something's going on.
Is this the vehicle behind us is already blown up, right?
Nope, not quite yet.
Oh,
That was just a little cliffhanger last time. But the vehicles are still, this is where you're starting to see, and Banuk is now shouting out to you.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, now I know where we're at. Okay. I don't know. It just feels off. I can't really explain it. Something's wrong.
Immediately turns to look at his surroundings. God damn it, you're not any help. Are you always like this? And continuing to look about, this is when you start to see that there's a increase of that activity happening kind of on the southern side in the direction that you're facing.
Yeah, maybe we should leave as soon as possible, Banuk.
The vehicles continuing their path forward. It's going to be a bit difficult to squeeze all of these forward, but around the time, we'll say that the group gets out to here as the caravan continues forward. With the curvature here, you guys are going to maybe fall back a little bit. And at this point, Caden, Dario, this is when you spot the vehicle south of you all as you continue to traverse eastward. There seems to be a bit of a scuffle inside as from the back seat, the two of you spot the prisoner suddenly stirring and making a bit of a commotion. The others within seeming a bit distracted. The driver obviously trying to look up ahead, and the one in the back trying to stop him from reaching up towards the front of the vehicle. It's around this time that, Dario, you spot the distortion that happens around where the vehicle is about to drive into. And Caden, a split moment before you spot, through just kind of your vision and blinking, another bolt of this energy seem to collapse in that space as the vehicle suddenly explodes. As you all continue forward, Banuk looks over his shoulder. What the fuck was that?
What I was warning you about. I told you something was going to happen.
You weren't warning us about this? As he looks back and sees the smoke from the vehicle trailing behind them.
I was as clear as I could be. I didn't know what was going to happen.
God damn it, you weren't clear at all! As he continues to drive forward, speeding up.
Well, at least it was one vehicle, not all of us.
As you say that...
Oh, fuck.
Actually, looks like...
Weird sense of optimism.
We talked about this, didn't we? I think Sam was mentioning something about the uncanny optimism of the group. But let's get Maxine's, now that everything is popping in here, get your image properly switched over to Maxine's portrait. Fortunately, if it doesn't load in, the website doesn't show it to me either, so it's a bit of a struggle. But there we go. We got everyone in, and looks like the voice activity is working as well. So you guys can now see whose beautiful voice is attached to the character. Okay. The convoy continues forward, and as Banuk and the others rush ahead, it takes a split second for the rest of you guys to kind of catch up. But around this time, you guys will also, the rest of you, Koji, you're still a bit out of it as the vehicle starts to buck and wind and turn, and it's not helping. But Maxine and Sam, you guys would have heard the out somewhere to the south. As you turn, you see that one of the vehicles has stopped moving and is currently now damaged somehow, as the front of it seems to have, it looks like it got hit by a truck head on and just completely crumpled on itself as smoke billows out of it. And Sam, if you're paying attention to Koji still, give me a perception with disadvantage. And Maxine, if you are distracted by the female, give me a regular perception. But otherwise, you guys can roll with advantage.
4.
Oh
That's a natural 20.
All right. Well, Sam, you're a bit frantic looking at Koji, trying to hold on in the back seat as it swings side to side. This is the largest vehicle in this convoy. So, yeah, as much as this vehicle is sturdy and is quite spacious on the inside, you're still kind of getting thrown about. And you hear the explosion.
Shit. Have you guys never heard of seatbelts?
There's seatbelts around, but you can strap yourself in to stabilize yourself in the back here. But you will look over your shoulder and spot the billowing smoke coming from one of the vehicles that has now been destroyed. But you quickly lose sight of it as you look forward and look back to Koji. Maxine, on the other hand, as you look south to the wreckage as the others speed ahead, you will spot a couple of things. Within the wreckage, you will spot that the driver seems to be partially gone, as you catch a glimpse of the front of the vehicle and find that from like half of his torso seems to now just be a bloody mess, and his head and one of his arms and anything in between seems to just be gone. It seems to have twisted and warped within itself to the point where it doesn't seem recognizable as a person. In the back seat, you spot another passenger whose head seems to have been crushed against the side of the window, and there's a bit of a blood splatter that obscures the rest of your vision into the back seat. However, with your nat 20, you are also going to spot that a bit further south of the vehicle, somewhere just below. Again, these are 30-foot squares roughly, but you spot another individual that seems to be on all fours, crawling and stumbling to catch their balance as they head in a westward direction.
Do we need to go back and look for survivors? Can you radio the others?
Cedar's gonna speak up. I don't think we have any time to do that. I don't know what these things are, as he's looking about frantically, but there seems to be more of them forming, and we haven't heard anything back on our radios, so it's probably good to just assume that they might not have made it.
I'm
So
gonna
you just leave them?
What do you suggest we do? Turn around and risk losing more people?
I'm gonna close my eyes and see if I can feel anything, like if the feeling's passed or not.
Okay, give me a second and we'll come back to that. But Sam?
Aren't these your soldiers? They fought with you, feasted with you, and now you're just leaving?
Listen, we've had to make these kinds of decisions before. Sometimes someone will turn around to go save someone and we don't see them again. If we have time, if we're all safe, we can come back to see if there were any survivors, but to risk the rest of us for those that may already be dead, we can't take that risk. Not with Banuk here, myself here. We have to get back to the settlement. We have to get everyone out of here.
I understand that's your view. I think that's the wrong way to go about creating a group here, but it's up to you. It's your people.
Listen, it's been like this for years, as Luca is just focused in the driver's seat, rushing to keep up with Banuk, and Cedar in the passenger seat is kind of looking back, eyes still forward, but we've had to, again, we can talk about this later. If we can come back, we will, but not while a storm is happening, if that's what this is.
I'm gonna sit back down and just watch over Koji.
All right, Caden.
Yeah, sorry about that. That was bad on my part.
No, you're fine.
After Caden, there's something I want to do as well.
Caden, yeah, you that feeling again. It's kind of like it's not going to. It's still there. It still persists. You still have raised hairs, goosebumps. It still feels like things are in motion, right? Caden, from your experience, this feeling typically builds slow and is difficult to notice. You've only noticed on a few occasions that it's either just a bad gut feeling or there's something around that is actually going on. Now, once it's noticed, typically it's when it's capped out. And once it's there, it persists. And the feeling doesn't continue to grow past its simmering point. Yep. It's kind of like a cooked grenade, right? Once it's cooked, it's cooked. Once it blows up, then it's gone. But
well, that's what I was looking for, is whether that the explosion had happened yet or whether it was still present.
Correct. So I think the word I used from last time, which I think it's still relevant here, is the feeling reaches again that kind of simmering point and just persists. Still there though.
Okay.
All right.
I'll open my eyes and excuse me, sorry. Let everyone know, like, I don't think we're through this yet. I think there's still more coming.
Banuk just turns, doesn't even turn. He just continues looking for. Yeah, no shit. But Maxine, you had something you'd like to do?
Yeah, I'm gonna turn around in the seat, put my pistol into my offhand, and I want to bring out my rifle in the other, kind of bracing it on the seat behind me or whatever I can, and see if I can get a better view than just naked eye on the person who is crawling.
Sure. Okay. Go ahead and let's go with a perception with advantage. Yeah, you know what? With the nat 20, we're going to give you advantage and counteract some of the rumbling of the vehicle as well as the billowing smoke from the vehicle, as you get a pretty good stable view through the back seat using your scope to try to get a closer look. You scan between the vehicle and the trajectory that you saw the figure moving in, and a brief second later, after scanning to the right, scanning to the left, you catch the glimpse of a darker figure against the slate-like soil that is here, and find that it's the prisoner that seems to be scurrying westward towards the walls. Continuing to kind of keep a really low profile. He seems to be almost running in like a 40-degree angle, super low to the ground, and also strangely strangely moving quicker than you'd expect a person to move. Maybe it's just the difference between you guys heading in opposite directions, but you do see the kind of messy hair, and with such high rolls, you also are going to see that some of his clothing has been kind of burnt away. You see that there looks to be something trickling down his right arm as he moves, but you also catch what appears to be the glimmer of something. You can't quite make it out with the scope in the distance, but his skin seems to be almost glimmering. Not like a shield, but the skin itself seems to be shimmering.
I'm gonna try to take a shot at him.
Okay, go ahead and give me a roll.
Wow.
27.
27 is going to hit him. See what range you guys are at. 90 feet. Okay, and see, what was he at? Yeah, as he continues to run, you take aim. The female lets out a bit of a shriek as suddenly you take a shot, and a large energy beam shot rings out. Sam, what's your passive perception? Which is what's your perception modifier?
Perception is +2.
+2. And Caden Dario. Oh, yeah, Caden Dario. What's your perception?
I think it's 11 or +1. Sorry.
+1.
And +3.
+3. All right, Sam and Dario, you guys will briefly hear the noise of a gun going off. In this case, the energy rifle that you've heard fired from Maxine. Brief and a little difficult to hear, but you hear it. You hear the noise of it, and Maxine, you see the creature, or not the creature, the individual slump over and hit the ground as it slides just a short distance forward and seems to remain unmoving. Oops. Yeah, we're just gonna... I'll give it an icon, but yes, it is. And as you continue to drive away, you don't see it getting back up.
All right. I'm gonna stow my rifle and go back to keeping a hand on the woman with my pistol ready.
Okay. The woman just looks at you completely wide-eyed, and it looks like she's about to say something, but as soon as you turn and put your hand back on her, nothing comes out of her gaping mouth. All right. The rest of you continue to drive off, and once you make it out of the salted lands, as the terrain begins to shift back to kind of the soil that you had all seen, you continue to see these fluctuating orbs of energy appear and disappear. Caden, up ahead, you feel that the strikes of energy that were, again, lighting the back of your eyelids begin to vanish from the view up ahead. However, the feeling continues to persist.
So we're clear ahead, though.
As far as you can tell.
Okay.
Now, again, the feeling, though, is still there. Banuk kind of looks about. Is it safe? I don't see anything up ahead.
I think ahead of us is clear right now.
He's still tense, but you do see him let out a bit of a slow exhale. Cedar and Luca, with Koji and Sam in the back, are continuing to follow, and Maxine, the driver, continues to follow Cedar's vehicle. As you make it a bit further, you all begin to hear, and this is a bit of a loud kind of, gosh, what's the best way to describe it? It's the sound of metal against metal, something that makes the sound of, if you've ever heard a car crash, the sound of that metal against metal, or metal against stone, or
Are
metal
we talking
against...
about dubstep?
No, not dubstep, but it's a
Like
loud,
metal tearing?
it's a loud, deep, bassy screech. So kind of like, gosh, I'm trying to think of a good description, like the sound of the Titanic hitting an iceberg. Right?
Like metal tearing?
Exactly. You begin to hear this deep rumble through the air and a bit of a high pitch squeal echoing within that sound that comes from far to the west. Not far to the west, but far enough where, as long as your perception nets a mod of 0, you will hear something loud from behind you. And a moment later, you all also then hear the loud rumbling of what sounds to be a large rocket. As that rumble starts to get louder. And that screech begins to tear through the air. And if you look behind, you'll find that those salted lands that you were just within begins to change as the larger sections of it, the areas where the walls would kind of arc upwards, almost as if they were like petrified waves, begins to crumble. And deeper within the center of where these lands, or at least what you could see of these lands, you spot in the distance what appears to be something rising from the ground. Cedar is looking in his rearview mirror. What the hell is that? But those looking behind, Maxine, you probably have the best view of this, will see the appearance of what looks to be a shuttle. And the shuttle seems to be coated in a very black, shiny material.
Ooh.
And you also see through that material these tendrils of red, glowing energy that seems to move almost like a pulse around this shuttle. And through that rising view, that rising object, you see around it, Maxine, you'll probably need to use your scope, which I imagine you would, to get a better view of it. But what you see are those insectoids all over the vehicle's exterior as it continues to rise and rise and rise. And suddenly it then emerges from the horizon within these salted lands. And you see behind it the thrusters that seem to not only exude the fires of a spaceship taking off, but there seems to be a bit of a red hue to it, something different from the thrusters you've seen before. Typically, they would be burning kind of like a shuttle's, smoky red and yellow. Other times, depending on the technology, you might see a bit more of a bluish hue to them. But this one seems to resemble more the, I suppose, the embers of a campfire. There's this reddish glow that just thrums behind it, encapsulating the flames that smoke out and billow out. You see all around it those creatures that seem to be, again, crawling kind of on this vehicle, but it all begins to slow as it rises further into the air, and the tendrils of energy seem to almost be, as it departs from the salted lands, it seems almost attached to the land itself and begins to snap in a few locations as it then suddenly jets into the air. And at this point, Cedar actually just gets halfway out his window and turns around looking behind him, looking up into the sky. What the fuck is that? As he continues to follow the gaze of, or the visage of this craft that is now left the Salted Lands. And around this time, the area around the edges of the lands begin to continue to collapse as the center of it, right, all the spires, all the walls, the few cases where they kind of again spike up like the petrified waves, begin to just fall. It suddenly starts falling and crashing to the ground, but not making a loud bang or explosion, not rising a big dust cloud, but the convoy continues to rush eastward. And once you return roughly to the area where the shuttles up ahead can be seen, let me actually get those back up here. This one here. Banuk calls out to pull over, and the vehicles all make a bit of a all the vehicles make a stop right by these other shuttlecraft that have been crashed here, and Banuk quickly gets out of the vehicle, turning behind him, looking at what's happening to the Salted Lands behind that you guys all just left, as well as his eyes gazing upward at this thing that just flew off, now leaving a several long tendrils of just this red after trail. If you've ever seen like a smoke trail from like an airplane, right? I forget what they're called. But
Contrail.
yeah, you see that, but it's kind of twisting and arcing, almost like tentacles through the sky. But this red mist is up in the sky. And Banuk is just wide-eyed looking up at whatever the hell it is. Cedar jumps out, walks a bit westward to trying to get closer, but not really helping much. And at this point, the vehicles have stopped. Banuk, Cedar, Luca, the others are all kind of looking about, looking behind where you came from, looking up into the air as the Salted Lands have completely flattened in the distance. And the only other anomaly aside from the disappearance of the Salted Lands is the object in the sky.
Well, that's something. Not what I expected.
Is this what happens every time there's one of these anomalies?
No, usually the defining characteristic of it is you don't know what it is. It's usually different every time.
Caden, once the Salted Lands you see in the distance, it kind of like mists downwards. But once it settles, that feeling, the next time you try to notice if that feeling is still there, you find that it had gone at some point.
So do I have to take the time to actually do that, or can I reference that in conversation now?
No, you've been paying attention to it, right? So now that you've kind of all stepped out and everyone's looking about, you're like, is it still there? And it feels gone. Your skin feels normal again. Your hairs aren't on ends. And
I think we're safe now, relatively. The feeling's gone. So, not death by storm, but maybe aggressive creature.
Sam, before you get out of the vehicle, Koji, I need you to make another wisdom saving throw.
On it, boss. Nice.
Koji, it's around at this time that, almost like snapping out of a nightmare, you lunge forward and end up grabbing Sam's arm.
Holy shit.
You're back?
Yeah. Oh, that was bad. Fuck. Oh.
I don't know what happened to you, but I do have to say one thing. We were in there and we saw those spider-looking monsters, the ones that you seem to be able to communicate with. And I gotta say, we really could have used you in there.
Yeah. Wait, the fucking bugs you saw?
Like
They
when we
were.
landed.
What the fuck? Kind of looks up at you. What? Okay, I'm sorry I was in here, I guess.
Look, I don't know what you're dealing with, and I know we barely know each other, and I don't know why you shed skin or why you turned red, but at certain times, I need you to get your shit together. At times, we need you to be present.
He just kind of keeps looking at you for a second, pulls away. Yeah, whatever. I'll work on that, I guess.
People died today because you weren't there.
Sam, give me a insight roll as you are giving Koji some of your thoughts here.
People would have died if I was there too.
6.
Okay. Yeah, Koji, as he replies, it's basically at face value what you're getting off of Koji. But before we come back to this, let's take a quick little break here while we all top off our beverages, and I need to deal with a little bit of a bio situation, and then we'll come back and see what the group decides to do.
Fun.
All right. See you all in a couple minutes. All right, we're waiting on one more to make their way back, but while we're here, we can chit-chat, whatever it is.
So what is this thing with wooden bullets we're talking about? Sorry,
Yeah, so actually, what is it? Zabio here was, Sean here was making a little woodcraft gun.
I feel like calling it woodcraft is generous. All the
Consider-
crafting was already done. I just assembled the pieces. It's like IKEA wooden gun.
yeah.
So
It just fires out little bullet-shaped little pieces of wood with like rubber bands and whatnot.
Neat.
so
Looks pretty cool,
sculpt would be generous, you're saying?
Those are always little fun, little puzzles, right? I mean, I don't know if I'd call it a puzzle either. It's more like a plastic model kit almost, but wood.
Yeah, because it tells you how to put it together, so it really doesn't seem like puzzle is a fitting term. But yeah, it's like a wooden model kit basically,
Neat.
like a very low level one because you don't actually have to. All the pieces just fit together and all that.
Now, while we are waiting here, I think we'll get everyone positioned back to our home screen. Here we go, beautiful. And we'll cover up the camp because we're not there yet. And let me also grab the NPCs just because who knows, maybe they'll be relevant.
Are they rapping just to stay relevant? It's an Eminem song reference for those who don't know.
That's an oldie, right?
Pretty oldie. I heard it recently, 2000s. I don't know, not that old, but...
All right. So, dark skin, red reindeer here is Banuk, right? Cedar is the one looking a bit more tired. I guess they both look pretty tired, but... and then the female, obviously being the prisoner. I guess I gotta move them over a little bit more.
Just to clarify too, like Luca and the other like guards didn't come with us, right? They weren't in that bat jeep that got blown up.
Luca was driving where Cedar was.
Okay.
Yep. And then Banuk.
Do we know the name of anyone in that Jeep that blew up?
I was just worried it was one of the ones we knew because I kind of liked a few of them. The girl could go die, but I like the other one.
Oh, that's right. You know what? I had totally forgotten about the motorcycles. Yeah, there were 2 motorcycles with you all as well. Tina was on one of them. That's right.
Tina. Fuck Tina.
Yeah. No, she's there with you all as well. Again, once we introduce tokens, I didn't
She
make.
didn't die.
What's that? No, Tina's
Damn
still
it,
there.
She didn't die.
She did not die. No. The only vehicle that took damage is that one Jeep that contained a couple of soldiers from the camp, as well as the male prisoner, whose names
Soldier number
you never
2
got.
and prisoner number 1.
Shut up. Shut up. Man, if I had to come up with names for NPCs that you guys would have seen like once and never again, what is this? What is
I
this?
remember Samantha. I'm just saying.
True. Samantha does have a name for a reason, though. We'll see. But that said, if you guys did walk up to every single person and give them names, you'd make my life a living hell. But hey, it's doable.
Just walk up and start naming people. Like
Yeah.
I walk up to Stranger B. He's Joe now.
Might be. But sounds like everyone's back. I think I heard Peter. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So yes, again, you guys are currently at roughly the area where the crash site remains from previous sessions. I'm going to move these guys a little bit closer.
And we see an object floating up in the sky from where that storm hit.
Not even just floating, but no, it's actively like it's taken off. It's flying. It's leaving the atmosphere in time.
Oh, we're watching it like a shuttle launch.
That's exactly what it looks like. It looks like a shuttle launch. The difference being is that it's a dark shuttle with these red lines that you guys can roughly see. It's a bit difficult with the growing distance. But the noticeable feature of this takeoff are these, again, red after trails that kind of tendril in a tentacle-like spiral formation where a smoke trail would normally be.
Oh, like a helix
helix pattern of sort, yeah.
Are we all out of our cars?
All the
or
vehicles are stopped. Yep, all the vehicles are stopped. Most everybody is just looking either back along the horizon or up in the air at whatever this thing that is flying through the air is.
I'm gonna beeline to Caden and say, the three of you, it's time to talk.
Okay, shoot. What do you want to talk about?
Kind of
You have
looking
to tell me.
to Sam and Dario and Koji, trying to rally the group together for maybe a bit of a huddle.
And when you say the three of you, you're talking to Caden and who?
When I say the three of you, I'm talking to Sam, Dario, and Koji.
Gotcha.
Like I'm trying to round up those three while I'm walking towards Caden.
I see. Okay, so here's how we'll do this, right? So,
Out of curiosity, are you pulling us away from the NPCs, or are you just talking to us in the open?
Yeah, I'm trying to make a bit of a distance.
all right. So Maxine, you were with the female. Dario and Caden, you were with Banuk. So just to kind of showcase kind of rough area of where everyone was standing. You guys are over here. All right. And then Maxine, on the way to the others, you're kind of gathering everyone together. That's the idea.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But Maxine comes down. Sam, Koji, Dario, you guys all get rounded up, Caden, by Maxine.
What's the matter, Max?
What do you have to tell us, Maxine?
I have questions.
Okay.
How did you know that was going to happen?
Felt off.
Felt off.
Yeah.
Just had a hunch.
Yeah. You know, like, shouldn't go down that dark alley. Someone's watching me, you know, that kind of thing.
You just conveniently have bad feeling when that happens. I'm just gesturing
Spelling
off
while you
to
have that
the
feeling.
Around
Someone's watching you.
how loudly? I mean, Caden's probably talking normal, if not loud volume.
Yeah,
but
I'm trying to keep it a bit hush. I'm trying to.
Oh, if you're being hushed,
Gotcha.
I'll be hushed. Okay.
all right.
If you weren't whispered, I wouldn't have been.
Well, Caden, give me a. Gosh, what would
Deception?
it be? No, it's not deception. Like, what would be? Give me a stealth roll with disadvantage.
Just for talking, basically, like for how loud I'm talking, or
To see if others notice you. And
Okay.
the volume
no
is.
disadvantage. You said.
Yeah, we're gonna go with disadvantage because I think Caden would. Okay. Yeah. This actually works out just fine. But at Maxine, as you get everyone together and try to talk in a private voice, Caden, you try to match, but aren't very tactile at doing so. And it's around this time that Banuk, seeing all of you together, approaches and manages to overhear Caden talking about a feeling. What the hell is going on? That wasn't the catastrophe. What the fuck was that all about?
I said a bad feeling. That's all I really knew. It just felt like something was going to happen.
Banuk just looks at the group incredulously.
What do you mean? It wasn't a catastrophe? How would you
that
know the
was,
difference between this and something else?
It was quite a bit less destructive.
Less destructive. One of our guys are gone because of that.
Well, it didn't level a city this time.
Didn't level a city, but look, as he just gestures outwards to the westward direction. It's all been flattened. That's not a small feeling. If it was a catastrophe, Cedar, I would have noticed something stirring up.
Yeah, like, I don't know, just felt off. I can't tell you. It's the same thing with that happened with Ederson. Like, it just, something was off.
Caden.
Yes.
You may not want to trust me, but you and I, we're kin. I'm gonna look to Banuk. You too, all of you. And I'm gonna shift back to Caden and say, not only that, we're all in this together, and we don't have the luxury of mistrust. Surprises break coordination, which is something we sorely need to work on as it is.
I literally don't know what causes it or what it's going to be when it happens. The defining feature of those events are they're completely random.
But you get a bad feeling when they happen.
It's around this time that
Why didn't you
Cedar.
open up about that before?
Because it only really happened like 4 times for her. The chance of in 25 years, the chance of it happening was quite slim.
Look, you don't need to interrogate the man right now. It's been a long day. I think everyone here is tired.
Cedar, around this time, approaches the group, seeing a bit of a conversation brewing here, and Banuk being kind of on the outskirt of the group, listening in. Do you all reckon it's safe now?
Yeah. Well, safe to Ederson, or Crane is.
Do any of you know what that might be, as his eyes kind of gaze upwards, head nodding in the direction of the foreign flying object?
Looks
I've
like a
seen
ship to me.
Can you get a good look at it?
That's
Your
real?
scopes?
A ship full of bugs.
What the fuck?
I'm going to say it looks like trouble and we should probably avoid it.
That wasn't the Dynasty ship, right?
It was a ship.
Is that
full of
the
bugs.
core thing we're looking for?
What? No. I'm going to like try to like look at like try to hint, like, don't mention that. I don't know how I'd like just trying to like stare at him really intensely.
The fuck you looking at me like that for?
Is anyone else concerned that that ship was covered in bugs?
Well, they weird, but honestly, the bugs we've seen before. The spaceship parts of it is what's weird.
Those
I think-
things
Must have
I don't think the bugs
somehow
were weird.
managed to build a ship
Build a ship
underground
Mm-hmm.
and leveled mountainous terrain in launching it.
To be fair, I don't think
That's
was
a problem.
the ship that did that, unless the ship's like powered by whatever powers the storms or whatever.
I think the ships disrupted their home, and the bugs do what every bugs do. They attack. So I think they were crawling over it and outside of it because they were attacking the ship.
Possible.
Didn't
just
look
saying
like
that
any kind of technology I've ever seen built.
The leveling of the surrounding environment was most likely not the ship itself, unless it's powered by the same thing that does the storms and stuff.
If they're not related, it's awfully convenient.
Banuk will chime in. I don't think what happened back there was a catastrophe.
It's similar, but on a smaller scale.
I wouldn't call that smaller scale, as his eyes just gaze westward.
Again, okay, large scale, smaller destructiveness, I guess. Like, it flattened it, but that was about it.
Cedar also piggybacks off Banuk. I did think that you were hiding something, but you certainly do seem to know more than you're letting on.
I've lived on Ederson all my life.
Yes, so have
I've been
I.
here since the start of the storms.
So have
You
we.
pick up a few things. Just like how you know how to predict where they're going to be.
Well,
You learn things.
you make it sound simple. It took Banuk and I years to start to identify the telltale signs of approaching catastrophe. Yet his eyes kind of look over at Banuk, and Banuk meets his. But we didn't feel anything this time. How do you explain that?
I've been here just as long as you have. I've learned my own things.
You don't seem to be hearing us. We're saying that we have been sensing catastrophes as they near. That's how we've been able to keep the others safe. That's how we've been able to stay on the road. I didn't feel anything back there.
You all do this?
Well, when a catastrophe starts, the air gets dry, gets prickly.
I was really pointed out it wasn't a catastrophe. It was.
How can you say that? As Banuk just looks at you
and
incredulous.
Feel it as you just pointed out.
And you're saying you know what that was?
No, I don't know what it was.
But it's not a catastrophe. And he's just looking at you wide-eyed in
It's different.
mix of
Similar,
anger
but
and
different.
confusion. Cedar puts an arm on Banuk. There are many things unexplained on this planet. Perhaps Caden can sense different kinds of catastrophes, perhaps ones that we just don't know about yet.
Out of curiosity, Banuk, did you feel anything at Edgerson?
His anger simmers, but calms slowly as his eyes glare in your direction. Not making direct eye contact in a few occasions, but in hindsight, yes, I did. But in the moment, there was too much going on back then, between the fighting and between what was going on in Edgerson, the turf wars. Yes, in hindsight, I did feel something.
Oh. Well, I would have expected you didn't.
Well, I think much of the others also didn't quite understand what was going on. What discomfort we felt in the moments leading to the fall of Edgerson, the cleansing. We all thought it was just the change in the weather, for all we knew. The signs of perhaps another explosion going off, and we would have been caught up in the middle of it. None of us at the time would have known what a catastrophe would have been. That was years ago at this point.
This was just more similar to Edgerson than the catastrophe, so I'm just surprised you felt anything at Edgerson.
How many catastrophes have you been through? As Cedar looks at you and
I start counting off my fingers and then past 10 and stop using my fingers. A lot.
And you're telling us that each one is different? That can't be.
Their defining feature is they're different every time. They're chaos incarnate. They change things. They're hard to describe.
Clearly.
Given that explanation, why are you so set in the idea that this isn't a catastrophe then?
Because they didn't feel it coming, as they pointed out. It's something different.
But you make it sound as though...
It's different, but they're all different. It being different isn't a difference.
Well, it is and it isn't. It's what makes it difficult.
As much as I laugh at the idea of psychic damage, I'm not going to do that.
It's again hard to describe. This had more direction than a catastrophe does. Something caused it. It feels like.
I don't know about something causing it, unless you guys saw something in those caves. As he looks to Dario and Sam and Maxine, but mostly Dario. But I do, his eyes narrow, agree that this seemed more controlled. It's as if it only affected the salted area. His eyes again wandering back to where now it's just a flat plain in the distance. Can't quite make out what happened to it with the angle of the horizon, but
It's
You'll say things will change when the storms hit. Have you ever seen something come out of nothing? Something like that ship?
usually it's not something from nothing, but something that is caught in the storm is changed by it. It's like a rabbit goes in and like a very violent four-legged thing comes out usually.
But the things that change are very similar, right? A rabbit changes into another organic creature that's more dangerous.
That's generally the same, but not always.
You can't go from like the dirt and the rocks into a spaceship.
No, that's a bit of a stretch, yeah.
So that could have been some underground technology that turned into some sort of living, thrumming, flying hive.
Again, this was different than a regular storm, but generally, when you're underground or in a cave, you're safe from them.
Cedar chimes in. Flying hive?
Unless you have a whole bunch of spider bugs drilling into your safe space.
Honestly, we could guess all day.
Not sure we have the luxury of time, do we?
Nope.
We certainly don't, but Cedar's eyes linger on Sam for a brief moment before turning to Banuk. What should we do about the other convoy? The other vehicle? Looks like it got caught up in something. Should we go back for it?
Might be interesting.
The only survivor was the prisoner.
No, I'm not talking about the prisoner. Anything that goes into the storms comes out different.
It's
You just don't think we should go back? Grab something that reminds his family of him. Does he have family?
Again, whatever's left might not be remindable. It might not be recognizable.
these people, they're all family. Something like
I'm gonna close my eyes. Can I tell? Not the thing I was feeling before, but if I can sense like the next catastrophe potentially.
You
Like,
100% do not.
Okay.
But closing your eyes, give me a wisdom check.
Just wisdom. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Not one of my strong traits.
Yeah. Now you close your eyes. The others that are kind of asking you questions will see that you take a moment to yourself. But as far as you're concerned, that feeling's gone. And you're not feeling much of anything else. Other than maybe needing to relieve some bodily functions.
I do have a question about the storms. Is there one that happens on this planet at a time, or do they happen all over the planet?
I believe there's more than one. I know there was a constant one for a while in a single location. If these storms have been persisting for Banuk and Cedar, that means there's been at least two.
From what we've gathered, they're becoming less frequent, but the severity of them and the radius of them seems to be slowly increasing over the years. Back when the catastrophes first started, from the information I've been able to gather, it would appear that in a small area, maybe the span of a few cities, there would be multiple catastrophes happening in pockets. But now it seems to cover a wider net, and within that net there are small pockets of destruction and change.
For a while, there was a constant storm on the outside of Edgerton.
I think Edgerton may have been a special case. There was... Some of the survivors of Edgerton believe that that storm was caused by a group.
Group?
Someone led by one called Ignis.
Ah. Him.
Who's Ignis?
Don't know. Been trying to find more information about them, but after the catastrophe started to happen, their name periodically gets thrown into tales I've heard from other traveling folk, but from what I know,
Well,
Ignis is a female. And
really? I
she
didn't know that.
seems to have the ability to create disaster wherever she goes.
Who's watching the prisoners?
There's other soldiers to keep an eye on them. We need to decide what to do next.
The events at Idrison are kind...
Did you just say Idrison? Edgerton, right?
No, sorry, Edgerton is the...
Sister city.
Yes.
Yeah. We should add that in the lore. Edgerton is, if not where it started, right near the beginning of everything that started happening here on Aurora Green. Some contribute it to Ignis and the cleansing of Edgerton.
The talks about Edgerton, Banuk kind of goes into this 1,000-yard stare as his eyes stay glued westward. Cedar's eyes are kind of moving here and about, but Cedar is currently locking his gaze in the direction of Caden. He has a very inquisitive look at him.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of do the same thing to him. I'm going to look at him, tilt my head sideways. Were you at Edgerton, Cedar?
No, I was not. But I've heard enough stories, and I've been privy to some information that Banuk has shared with me.
Well, I can tell Banuk's been there. I know a few other people in the camp have been.
No, I was stationed at Fontaine back before the catastrophes.
Out of curiosity, could you see Edgerton from Fontaine on the night of the cleansing?
We couldn't see each city, but we did see the red skies in the distance. It was quite noticeable considering how Aurora Green is typically the beautiful emerald sky, but in particular to the east. Those few days, the skies seemed to rage in a torrent of red.
Makes sense.
But you sound as though you know about Ignis as well.
I don't know of Ignis, but I was at Edgerton when it burned. I escaped unscathed, but...
Banuk snaps. Unscathed? How is that possible? We all came out of Edgerton with something different.
Only half the city was burnt. Well, more than half, but not the entire city burnt.
Around this time, Banuk charges forward towards you, Caden, knocking anyone in his way out off to the side.
Oh, I don't want to let him do that. I want to hold my hammer in front if he's trying to charge at Caden.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and stop him as well.
All right, Sam and Koji, as you step to halt his strut towards Caden. Out of my way. I have words for this one. I need to know which side he's on.
You can ask him from over there.
Last time I checked, words didn't use your fist.
There was no
Caden.
side for me.
Caden.
Yes.
Banuk. All due respect, I feel like it is in our best interest to work with you. I don't know that all of them feel the same, but for the time being, we're allies. But this group, they're my people.
I have
If anything,
oh, sorry, I thought you were done.
if anything needs to be dealt with, that's my job. Just like in your group, roles are distributed accordingly. I would ask you to respect that.
Give me a persuasion with advantage.
Oh, good thing I didn't say anything, because I would have given you disadvantage.
Oh, I didn't roll it twice.
Yeah, it's a good thing you get to
my bad.
roll it twice. Okay.
There you go. 15.
Banuk is looking quite frustrated, still standing in front of where Sam and Koji are kind of hindering his path to Caden. His eyes navigate to Maxine as she tries to give him reason and turns back to Caden. You're lucky that you have this one with you, as he head nods in the direction of Maxine. At least I know where her loyalties lie. But you, on the other hand, as he keeps his eyes narrow, looking at you, Caden.
I had no sides in that conflict. I walked the middle.
Still, his eyes narrow. Not many were able to survive around in Edgerton without picking a side. If you say that you had no allegiances and you went away from Edgerton unscathed, you're still hiding something from me.
I had no sides in that conflict. I hated each of you equally.
Turning to Sam and Koji.
I know what those burn scars on your face mean.
He immediately snaps his attention back to you. I didn't get these because I wanted them.
No, but you got them for what you did.
Give me a... Gosh, what would it be? Persuasion.
Sure. Oh no! Wait, can I use?
Nope.
I have a thing for this.
Quiet now. Do you have something for it?
I do.
Yeah, you have a reroll with something.
Yeah, I have. Where
You better
is it?
find
It's
it.
Chaos. Tides of Chaos. I can reroll, but it also. Nope, that's not the ring, is it? Yeah, that is.
Yeah, if you're going to use it, go ahead and reroll.
As long as it's not a nat 1 like that. Okay, that's better.
That's
Okay.
better.
Okay. For a brief moment, Banuk, looking towards Koji and Sam, about to open his mouth, and with Caden's words, snaps back to him. And after the brief exchange, his eyes go soft. Almost those, what is it, Caden, Sam, and Koji, you guys will see it pretty easily being right in front of Banuk, but you almost see guilt flash across his face. And he stands there as Cedar walks back up behind Banuk, addressing the group. Enough of this, Banuk. We're all on the same side, at least for now. If they wanted to turn on us, they could have done so when we were under attack. Unfortunately, we have the Dust Patriot's word here, as he gives Maxine a bit of a wink. I think we both know that that's enough word from one to continue forward for now. Frustrated, Banuk lets out a huff and turns around and walks away back towards the vehicles. And Caden turns to the group.
Cedar?
Before, as he puts up a hand to hold, make you wait, please, addressing to Caden, don't antagonize him about Etrison. He's been through quite a bit, and without him, the settlement would not be where it is today. He, in his own way, is trying to make amends.
I've noticed. I've been watching him since I got here.
Then please.
And the rest of the members of that came from Edgerson.
Then again, please, just the last thing the settlement needs is for Banuk to lose himself. At the moment, we all rely on him quite heavily.
I just had to know who he was now.
And I hope that you are satisfied, as he turns back to Koji. And what were you going to say?
Oh, I wasn't. You just said Caden when you were talking about Cedar, I thought.
No. All right. But Caden, or sorry, Cedar, excuse me, that must have been what you meant.
Yeah.
Cedar readdresses the group. Well, we are running short on time. Based on our previous calculations, we probably have no more than a day before we start seeing signs of the catastrophe, assuming that that wasn't the catastrophe itself.
Nope.
Your word means very little at the moment, unfortunately, because...
I just saved us from being blown to smithereens by that.
But if it was the catastrophe, that changes things. And your friend Maxine here, I'm more inclined to agree with her observations that if in fact every catastrophe, and considering your experience with them, if they are different each time, and if we cannot rely on Banuk and I's ability to notice the changes in the air around us, then for all we know, that could have been a catastrophe.
It wasn't.
Noted. But until we return to the camp, we have to make a decision. As much as I think our normal choice would be to just return to the settlement, once again, his eyes linger on Sam a brief moment longer than the rest of you. We could go back to see if there's anything salvageable in the vehicle, perhaps any survivors. Although, looking at Maxine, you say there was no survivors.
There are no survivors. The prisoner that was in that vehicle was a strategic risk. And given the circumstances, you might consider it a mercy.
What was your wisdom modifier? Or not wisdom, charisma modifier? You said negative?
-1.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cedar gives you a bit of a knowing nod of understanding, his eyes lingering. Turns back to Sam. Do you still feel like it is worth a trip? I'm inclined to inform the others that we should make our way back.
Well, I think you should always confirm if one of your group is dead. I think Maxine did that for us today.
The materials left behind could be unique.
Well, turning... Oh.
You
Good.
said we don't have much time before the actual storm hits. If it is coming, is this a trip we can make after resting up and coming back out?
Well, as Cedar turns back to the direction of the caravan, we do have enough vehicles. We could send the others back if you are so inclined to see if one of our own has made it out of that, though I have my doubts. I could ask Luca to accompany you all, and perhaps I'll just hop into one of the other vehicles and make our way back. We've left the camp without its leadership for long enough. I would like to get Banuk back to assess what our next plan will be and possibly prepare for departure if we begin to sense that this in fact wasn't a catastrophe, giving Caden a quick glance.
Do you think we can do it tomorrow?
I think it's now or never, probably.
I would agree. We're running out of time, and I believe it's about a quarter's day drive back from this area all the way around north to back to the camp. So we've already lost a day. Unfortunately, the caves didn't result in any materials that I was hoping to acquire, but the camp comes first.
And whoever's back there would be a part of that camp, right?
They would. But if they are part of the camp, they also understand that we can't save everybody, as his eyes go low and he doesn't quite make eye contact with any of you.
Well, it's go time. Are we doing this or are we just going back?
I wouldn't want to be left behind. Nobody in my family would leave me behind. As fucked up as I am.
No
But
man left
can it, in
behind?
good conscience, leave someone behind who might still be living? I mean, Maxine, I know you saw one, but there was multiple people in that vehicle. I think it's worth a look.
But could be worth it. Good conscience. Valuable materials, Caden?
Potentially.
Dario, where do you stand?
I'll follow the rest of the group. If you need me, I'll join you.
Loyalty. Let's do this.
All right. Well, I'll go let the others know. Luca will go with you all, and you guys can take the vehicle that we came in. And with that, Cedar turns, starts walking back, and you all prepare.
As Cedar walks away, I look up to Maxine. Oh, I think he likes you.
I think he's understanding where my loyalties lie more and more as time goes on.
What you were saying about us all being kin, did you include me?
Imagine the really short guy. It's just so good.
You know what? I'd say, Caden, you and I were kin twice over. The rest of you, we fight together.
Huh?
That's as much as families goes. Caden, we're from the same place.
Sure. So is.
Do you? That's. I know I'm not a good talker. I was trying to make it clear. All of us from Aurora Green, we share something that no one else can share.
Death and destruction of our home?
Oh.
Maxine just resigns and
Caden just has a puzzled look on his face because he doesn't understand Maxine. He's like, huh?
with a moment later, Luca kind of jogs up to the group. Well, looks like I'm with you all again. You all ready to go?
Apparently we're kin, Luca.
I would consider so. You're from Edgerton as well, so...
We're all
Wait,
sons
this
and
is actually
daughters
a
of
thing?
Aurora Green.
You guys don't even know each other. How the fuck are you kidding?
Right?
He says, kind of looking over at Luca.
Sam walks forward with a fucking long grin on his face and just whispers, "Kin."
All right, but with that,
That's just because I bought you beer.
with that, Sam, you're heading to the Jeep, via the Humvee. Is that when you're walking away, or?
I just imagine
Oh, to the
walking
Jeep.
over
No,
with
not like
him.
out, like yeah, back to the car.
Okay, just walking. You're walking back. Okay, no, but yeah, Luca.
Just walk over to the desert.
Luca just smiles. Well, out here, after the catastrophes, you have to think of each other as kin. There's only a handful of us left. The big cities stick together. Those of us who navigate around stick together. And as long as we all return to the dust, that's all we need on Aurora Green.
This is weird. I'm not used to having people around.
You also don't really seem to have been around recently. Were you off-world?
Nope, never left. Well, apart from like a week ago, I've never left the planet.
Luca just kind of raises a bit of a curious but confused eyebrow, but claps his hand. All right, boys, let's go. We gotta get back to the camp quick, but Luca, Cedar tells me that you want to go check out the vehicle that we left behind. See if there's anyone else.
Have you ever checked out the remains of a storm before, Cedar?
No, Cedar left. Sorry, I know my
Luca, sorry,
voice
Luca.
went low there.
Yeah.
No, not necessarily. It's typically I'm on guard duty or I'm on the reconnaissance team.
Well, as the camp in general, do you guys just like fuck off when storms come around and then just never go back, kind of thing?
We've lost more people trying to traverse through the salted lands than we had tried.
I mean, like after a storm passes, like do you go back through an area?
No, generally no, because Banuk typically tells us not to enter those change lands. Have you?
Yes, I have.
And?
Weird.
How so?
Everything's different. Trees that were there are made of stone. Plants that were there glow. Creatures look different. Quite often, usually aggressive afterwards.
Huh.
Not always, but usually.
Yeah, I think Banuk said something along those lines too.
Metals change, rocks change. Once found a really cool stone. I don't know what it was before.
All right, let's get moving,
after.
guys, as he walks in the direction of the vehicle.
Caden, I think we'll have time to share stories later on. I know it would certainly be in my interest. And
It's kind of normal at this point, I guess.
Luca, just be ready. Maybe
Luca,
stay in the car when we
Luca,
get there.
you guys following Luca back to the vehicle?
Yeah, I'm following Luca.
I believe we are.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, you guys make it into the vehicle. The rest of the group takes a split moment to continue onward. Luca seems a bit anxious to all of you as he hops into the driver's seat. You can see that though things have settled down, there's a bit of sweat that seems to trail around his hairline and his brow. And as the convoy and the bikes continue in the direction back towards the camp, past these crashed shuttles, you all make a U-turn, and Luca begins to take you all back into the direction that you had recently departed, back towards those salted lands. While you're in the car, Luca kind of chimes in over his shoulders. Well, we're going to have to make this quick. We're going to have to just in and out, guys, because Cedar is worried that if what Caden here says is true and that what we just went through wasn't a catastrophe, that means there's a good chance that we have about a day or so. And I don't want to get caught up in something like that ever again.
First sign of bad feelings, we turn back.
Gives you a bit of a chuckle. You could say that again.
Looking up, how much daylight is there right now?
It's getting darker. You guys have been traveling throughout this day quite a while between the two different groups, kind of splitting off, right, from the camp, reconvening where the fight was, as well as traversing kind of those salted lands, as well as spending time investigating that cave with the drone, the departure, and the bit of a huddle that you guys did once you felt that it was safe. So much of the day has now passed. It is getting close to probably where evening would be our time, right? That's the vibe you're kind of starting to get as the skies begin to slightly darken. There is the growing, what's the word I'm looking for? The growing, encroaching? Anyways, the aurora up above is beginning to push towards the equators a bit more, so it's becoming a bit more vibrant overhead as you guys see it kind of begin to curve further northward from where you guys are currently stationed on the planet. And the only real anomaly up in the sky is among the green aurora borealis. There is a speck and a trail of this red that is now reaching far above the sky, now appearing a small dot in the sky trailed by this red line. But
On the vehicle on the way back, is Luca driving?
Luca is driving.
And except for whoever, I guess it's in shotgun, we're on the back.
That's up to you. This is one of the larger vehicles. So here, we'll do this. We'll put... I'm just going to use Cedar's icon to designate Luca.
Man, they all look alike.
They do all look alike, don't they?
It's racist.
But the driver's seat will be where Cedar's icon is here, where Luca is driving. You guys can position yourselves in a 2-2-3 layout. And Maxine, I guess Maxine's the one taking the shotgun at this point, or Koji's in the back?
I want to sit near-ish to Caden.
Yeah, if no one else is specifically...
I'm in the back, that's all I know.
Okay, yeah. So Sam and Caden, you guys take the back. Koji, Dario in the middle. Maxine, shotgun. All right.
And on the way back, I do want to ask Caden. Hey, Caden, while I do appreciate you saving all of us dead, I think some of what you're saying might come across as unwelcome to the folks here.
Like?
Well, there's a lot of strange things going on with you. Things I can't explain, and I've seen a lot. For one, you, feeling these things, and, I could have sworn a while ago you just were clean.
I'd like to keep clean, yes.
Sam, you also recall that Caden's eyes occasionally seem to shimmer blue.
Yeah, I have done that.
Yeah.
And what the fuck is up with your eyes?
I can't say I've really looked at my own eyes recently. I don't know. Something off. I'm gonna try to give him a good view of my eyes. There shouldn't be anything going on with him right now, at least, I don't think.
Oh. Well, either way, I would just say kind of be careful with who you're sharing that information with. I hope you'd come to trust us here soon enough, but other people may kill you for it.
Oh, I'm well aware.
Koji and Dario, remind me your perception modifier.
How big are your ears?
+3.
The modifier is
They're plus 3 big ears.
Got some Will Smith-sized ears.
Hmm.
Koji, what was it?
It's +1.
+1. Yeah, you guys in the close confines of the vehicle are going to be able to just overhear their conversation in the back.
Yeah, I don't mind if everyone else hears it. want to be quiet enough from Luca.
Yep.
And I hope like the roar of the engine. I assume this thing has an engine. It's not like electric powered.
Yeah, it's an engine. It's an engine. But yes, that's exactly what happens. The folks in the front can't quite make it out. Maxine's perception is so high that she probably knows there's a conversation going on, but Dario and Koji, you guys can just kind of, without even turning your heads, overhear the brunt of the conversation clear enough.
I've been careful what I said, but I needed to know who Banok was.
Well,
Just continue being careful. My people, when we explored, we've killed for less.
your conversation is a bit interrupted as you suddenly come to a screeching halt. And anyone not wearing their seatbelt, give me a Constitution saving throw.
I probably wouldn't have been, I'll be honest.
I'm rolling really good tonight. Holy shit.
I kind of want to give you 2 saving throws real quick. Potentially 2. At least 1. Okay, I've got my seatbelt
Nice.
on.
No one in this vehicle wears seatbelts.
Caden just doesn't write
Oh, no,
papers
that-
very often. He didn't even think about it. He just
I
got
was
it.
trying to determine if I might have the seatbelt on this time, and you know, Maxine is aware of the dangers of being in a vehicle without a seatbelt.
Caden's not.
All right. Well, with your rolls, Dario, you get thrown into the seat, the back of Maxine's seat, taking 2 points of damage as you hit it pretty hard. The rest of you will manage to catch yourselves from getting thrown. Sam, you actually do get thrown, but it's not a heavy enough hit to really scratch you at all. So it's a bump. You got thrown, but no big deal.
Oh, Luca could have used a little bit of a warning.
Yeah, sorry about that, but you guys need to see this. As Maxine, you weren't sure what you were looking at, but now that you're stopped right at the edge of where the regular terrain meets the salted lands, you all look forward through the windshield up ahead and see a vibrant ocean.
Like water?
Luca parks the vehicle, steps out, and anyone
Do
else
not
who does,
drink that.
you all look ahead where the salted lands once were. Now stands a vast ocean.
What the fuck? Is...
Well, that wasn't here before.
See, told you, changed.
Wait, that's real too?
It's
I'm
all
gonna
It's
empty
not-
out my canteen and.
I would
Yeah,
not drink that.
Same.
Oh, don't
I'm
worry,
gonna
I'm
take
not planning on
big-
it.
Yeah.
I
I'm gonna
I
take a
do
big
want
swig
to.
of my water skin, and then I'm gonna try to fill some up as well.
okay. You guys will manage to do that just fine when you stick your hand into the water. It's cool to the touch. It's a bit more green as you look out onward, a bit dark and green, but as you maybe even cup a little bit off your hand or let it drip, it does appear to be fluid. It does appear to be water-esque.
Can I take a rock and try to skip it?
Sure. You find a rock. Go ahead and give me a dexterity check. Yeah, exactly. You go to skip it, you find a rock, it's a bit too round, and it just, boop.
Can I look? Is there any creatures in the water?
From where you're standing, you look out into where the soil seems to just go from straight soil to liquid. There doesn't seem to be any sand or any sort of erosion in between the two. But
Yes.
peeking in, you give me a perception.
Sure.
want-
The other thing- Oh, sorry. Go.
Oh, I was just gonna say I want to take some pictures of the water that wasn't there before and see if there's still a sightline on where the weird bug rocket was in the air.
Sure. So Caden, you look into the water and it's a bit too dark to see anything at the moment. But within the water, you do see the occasional glimmer of the aurora up above reflected within it. Maxine,
the other thing too. Oh, sorry.
Maxine, you managed to snap some photos of the now vast water that is in front of you all. And up above, though now much fainter than it was before, a small little dot up in the sky that glows a bit red like a star, trailing a short line of red behind it is still visible.
Is the water like a stark line? Like does it have a bank? Like does it taper down like you could walk out like a beach does, or is it like a stark line that drops off?
It's like
20 feet of water.
It's like remove erosion from existence and
It's
put
just like
the ocean right up against the land without any sand is what it looks like.
It's like a stark line. Okay.
Pretty much,
I'm
yeah.
looking across the water to see if I see any of those bug things floating around.
Give me a perception.
Ocean is a world generation bug.
The chunk didn't load. Oh no, it did. Sorry.
18.
18, very nice. You look across the horizon and you don't see anything floating, not at an initial glance. Looking downwards into the water, you don't see any of those bugs nearby either. However, maybe about a good 60 feet out, maybe 80 feet out, you feel like you see a shimmer of bluish red in the water that bobs under the wave, though subtle, and slowly sinking downwards. But after it moves about 20 feet in depth, it just gets covered in darkness.
And we can't see the bottom of this pool of water.
Not
That's a
at
good
all.
question. Did anyone bring a 10-foot pole?
I think you'll need more than 10 feet.
I'm surprised you didn't make a dick joke there, Sam.
Caden, it's at this point that you see Luca up ahead, right on the edge where Sam and Maxine were getting their water skins filled. He leans down, he's touching the water, and he cups it in his hands and brings it to his face.
Do not drink that.
But despite your protest, he stops a brief moment and you see him what looks to be taking a smell at it, and then he puts it to his lips and drinks it. I never thought I'd see this returned again. Guys, it's the ocean. Before they became salted, this was an ocean.
How long ago was there an ocean here?
It's hard to say.
Like you're talking like you remember it, like a few years ago, or is this like a millions of years ago kind of thing?
We thought it was strange that where we traveled, there should have been water to the north. This land that we're on is more of a continent than one large mass of land. The salted lands had created bridges for us where we could traverse through. We tried long ago. We haven't tried since after Banuk joined the group and we had lost some people back when we made that attempt. But we always thought it was strange that the salted lands were where bodies of water used to be.
Again, like recently or like long time ago?
No, I haven't seen this one, but I've never seen the lands change back like this.
Actually, have I?
Aiden, that's a great fucking question. You need to give me a Arcana
Okay,
Science roll.
Yep.
And a history
That's
roll.
literally a legitimate question that Cadian's asking because he's never really paid attention to it.
Caden, your description just now pretty much resonates with Caden's description. Is
Yep.
You don't really know, and you try to search your memories for when you've encountered catastrophes, you've encountered change, you've encountered creatures and oddities and all manner of things that were once different from what you remember, and in the times that you would depart your shelter, you would see. However, now that Luca mentions it, you've only seen change in the direction of it being changed. You've never seen it undone. And Luca's comments seem to indicate that this has returned to normal.
Could the changes have to do with something being present?
Whoa,
I
what do you mean?
Literally never seen this before.
Something that might have been on that shuttle that's not here anymore.
That
The changes didn't start.
Like a But what if it was something like a beacon that brought the changes to this place? After whatever started the catastrophes. I mean, for it to seemingly go back with that leaving, seems like there's room for a theory there, at least.
I still don't know what caused that event. It felt directed, but I don't know by what or how.
well,
But there was intent behind it.
Maxine, you might be onto something there as Luke looks upward. But by that same token, did this change because it left, or did it leave because we arrived? We don't know.
I don't think you're gonna get that answer here.
There's
Not now.
too many unknowns. I agree. But what... I'm going to have to tell the others about this, but I don't see any way to get back to where that vehicle was, and I don't see any signs of life as he scans the water up ahead.
Yeah,
Unless-
like
How vast is the lake? Do we see?
It's as vast as the salted lands that you had seen before, which stretches southward as far as you can see. It's split by the land on the left and the water now on the right. You guys had really only explored the small little kind of, what's the word? Canyon way that was created here from between where the Banuk's camp, the crash site, and this section of these salted lands created a kind of like a triangle of sort. But the rocky structures that you guys had seen stretched out far behind you to the south and to the west, which are now seems to be pretty much covered in the flat reflective surface as far as you can see. I don't remember where it was, but I think I drew rough estimation of what this looked like. It was kind of, if you guys might recall, something I drew out before that looked something kind of resembling this. Does that ring a bell? Well, if not,
Not sure.
all right. If not, that's fine. But basically, that last image was actually a bit off. this super rough sketch. God, how did I do it? No, it was more like this, right? This was where the salted lands were that you guys had explored. The camp somewhere up here, and then the crash site somewhere out down here somewhere was the rough idea. So, yeah, as far as you can see, south and westward, there does seem to be just, again, that flat surface now, whereas before, you would have seen, again, these kind of spires of petrified, wave-like, rocky, mountainous formations, which are now flattened.
If we had more time, maybe we can get the ship, Banuk's ship, but I don't know if there's gonna be a way for us to get across this.
Might be something to see if we as a small group can come back to. I think we would need the proper equipment, some sort of diving gear, vehicle or something.
Well, good luck finding diving gear. I haven't seen that in ages.
Dario, can your great ghost, did you call it? Can it go underwater?
It can't go underwater, unfortunately. I would try to see if it can go across, but I'm worried it would get lost across the way.
If you're looking for aquatic equipment, Stillwater is the best place for it, but there are ways to the east. Unfortunately, our camp doesn't have anything to deal with the waters. We can do we have some nets for the surface where we can maybe find some fish in rivers that we come across, but the only thing that our camp might have that could traverse this is going to be the airship, and unfortunately that doesn't take everybody anyway, so...
I don't think there's anything to be done now. Probably best to just head back.
Luca takes a moment standing next to the driver's seat, or returning to the driver's seat, but before getting in, just takes a deep breath and just looks left to right slowly, kind of lost in the distance here. But the rest of you guys are still by the water. What do you do?
I'm gonna go to get in the vehicle and see if I can send Luca a copy of the photo of the ocean.
Are you going to share your Instagram page?
Yeah, get a snap while you're at it.
Luca, you tried to... So basically you're asking if there's a way for you to send it to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Luca's gonna just look at you. Yeah, I appreciate it, Maxine, but we don't really have the fancy devices that Dynasty gives you folks, and well, most of us on Aurora Green aren't fortunate enough, unless they're within one of the larger cities, to own a Omni device. You wouldn't happen to have a way to print something out, would you? You don't.
Not on hand. Maybe we'll find something.
That'd be nice. I'd appreciate that. As he gives you a bit of a smile, but otherwise leans out the window. Hey, you guys coming?
I head back towards the vehicle.
Yeah, I head back too.
All right.
Yeah.
All of you getting back in, get seated, and it's around this time that I need all of you to give me a Arcana if you have proficiency in Arcana Science.
Yo, I do.
And if you don't, give me a Wisdom saving throw. Not Koji, Sam, you're not rolling anything this time.
Ooh.
Oh shit.
Oh, you were so close.
That's a 2.
All right,
9.
cool.
The lowest I've rolled tonight is a 15.
Nice. coming back swinging with dice at least. All right. The rest of you return to the vehicle. You get seated. Luca starts to turn the engine on and get ready to depart. And it's about at this time that Caden, I need you to roll that with advantage, actually. Forgot to mention you get advantage.
I'm coming.
You didn't need to announce that, but all right, that's more appropriate.
Not what I meant.
All right, so between Koji and Caden, oddly appropriate actually for the group. Sam, you're looking about, and the air's feeling pretty nice with the ocean, but as soon as you begin driving, the air begins to dry and feels a bit like it did when you were within the caves. Dario and Maxine, you guys are keeping a bit of a lookout, but have not yet spotted anything. And this is where Koji and Caden... Koji and Caden, you guys actually have the exact same feeling of goosebumps suddenly riddling your skin without a breeze. And Koji, you're a bit thrown off by this because you're generally pretty dang comfortable and you generally don't get affected by light temperature changes, but your hairs are standing on end and it's really uncomfortable.
What the fuck is going on?
Caden.
Not the existential dread that I felt before, though.
Caden, you are also not feeling that same energy from before. However, the goosebumps and your hair standing on end very much resemble an early sign of when a storm would hit.
Uh-oh. We need to get going, guys.
And yeah, as soon as, like in the middle of Caden saying, uh-oh, Luca suddenly floors the vehicle and rushes forward as he turns to the rest of you. I don't know what's going on. I'm not ready for 2 in one day, but I think that storm is about to hit as he rushes forward back to where you guys had pit stopped by the crash shuttles. Sam,
Put on my belt.
We need shelter.
Sam, Maxine, and Dario, you guys feel nothing that they are talking about.
Well, my joke was going to be that Sam was too short to see over the steering wheel to be able to see what was happening, but...
And as the vehicle is bouncing and rushing through, you guys all suddenly see from the northwest 3 red flares pop up into the sky. It looks like this is it. Banuk and Cedar must feel it too. But this is what we were waiting for as Luca holds out his arm. And Dario, Maxine, you guys will easily see Luca's arm just covered in goosebumps. His hair is just standing almost as if he touched one of those energy static balls, and all of a sudden just the hairs are standing straight upright. Koji, you see part of his arm from directly behind him, and your skin feels and looks like it does.
This that bad feeling you were talking about, Caden?
No, this is just a regular storm. The other one felt much worse.
Also, Dario and Maxine,
sorry.
though you didn't notice it at first, with Luca showing off his arms, you guys look down and notice that your hairs are rising as well. The only one who's out of the group here is Sam, who is completely normal, or at least Sam, from your perspective.
Out of curiosity, when this storm feeling came over me, did my eyes change color?
Great question. And let's have you give me a wisdom saving throw. Yeah. Sam, as you look over to Caden, not only is his eyes glowing blue, as you've seen roughly a couple times before, it's also vibrant and it actually doesn't seem to be resembling just a glow of blue. No, it actually looks like blue flames that are moving across his eyelids, across his iris. Going outwards. But with that, Luca is rushing forward, and it's at this point that Maxine, Dario, Koji, everyone looking out the windows is going to start seeing strikes of energy arcing through the skies. You're going to see twists and turns in the fabric of reality in a few locations as you guys rush forward. The aurora up ahead beginning to distort, the lands beginning to have this white energy arcing around as you rush through, and it slowly, gradually begins to worsen as time goes on. And before anything happens, that is where we're going to be calling tonight. What do you mean, aw? You want disaster to strike twice in one session? Get out of here.
No, but it was fun.
I like to think that Sam's just looking out thinking, fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess for a lot of you guys, this will be the first time you've seen a catastrophe, really.
Yep.
Yeah, up close.
Well, those that aren't kin, your moves are weak.
That's gonna be the running joke for Caden. We're kin.
Maybe.
Like no
maybe.
context to anyone, but like anyone he meets from fucking around.
Well,
God, gotta find a
Twice
23
over.
in me.
Maxine and Caden, because we fight together, but also Aurora Green. So the rest of you, you're in the party too. Just
Yeah.
The party hierarchy. Oh man.
you're just not quite as cool as us Aurora Green kids. So
We're
I don't know, I'm pretty cool. I got glowing, flaming eyes right now, so I'm pretty cool.
I think you have dry eyes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they're on the description of symptoms. It's inflamed.
You know what's ironic about Caden's eyes is that no one is noticing, or rarely is noticing, because his eyes are blue to begin with. But Caden, you also don't even know what's happening to yourself because
Oh no, not
yeah. But yeah,
Unless someone puts a mirror in front of me, I have no idea.
I'd say there was some good info tonight. I don't know what you guys
That was
think,
fun.
but cool. All right. Well, happy to have.
Because the two people I asked questions to didn't answer my questions.
Yeah, possible. So
Hey, I said a lot of shit. I just didn't answer your questions.
yeah, you said a whole lot of nothing is what that was.
we need to
Hey,
get
I
a
said a
time when
bunch of stuff too. It just didn't give more context. Okay.
I know.
we just need to get an opportunity where we don't have a bunch of people around,
Yeah, that would
so
probably.
that I can start beating the answers out of Caden. I mean,
That might not help as much.
I like that our kind of relationship with this group has gone from Maxine, the entire camp was racist against Maxine and want nothing to do with her, to now we're gonna trust her, but
Yeah,
this
she's
other
the only one
guy.
you can trust.
I feel like I'm the duct tape between the party and Banuk's crew a little bit.
That's like a complete 180 from where you started. You've come a long way with this group.
To be fair, Maxine has also contributed the most to this group, or to the camp group.
I take offense.
I taught them how to use the safety on their guns.
I fixed the clothes.
Yeah, but
Maxine has shown herself to be the most capable person of our group.
Actually, yeah, didn't
that
Caden
was
comment
the running
about
joke
it?
is she's the only one that doesn't fit in because she's capable.
Yeah.
I just realized after 10 sessions in that I should keep track of my goals in my notes instead of just having it sprinkled through the individual notes. Just have it a constantly evolving list, always at the bottom.
Yeah, just episode 50. Oh yeah, I wanted to do this.
Such as
That guy we killed 6 episodes ago, I meant to kill him.
find a printer.
Find a printer.
Maybe see if we can come across the ruins of like a space FedEx or something. Find radios for the party because man, we can't communicate at a distance.
Yeah.
Good luck getting Katie to use one, by the way.
We live at a distance.
Okay, we were all traveling in 3 different cars. I'm just like, oh, I can't talk to anybody.
I'm just saying, good luck getting Caden to use one because he is very tech inept. So we'll see.
We're gonna put something in your ear that's on always.
No, no.
Hey, is someone standing near a waterfall? Oh shit.
Yeah, you guys haven't added each other as friends on your Omni device yet.
It's not a setting I turned on. I turned off social networking.
They track you.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure if I can. I go to a different school, so.
Yeah, Maxine's
They don't talk
special.
to each other.
Proprietary.
Oh man. Well, yeah, there was a lot of good stuff this episode, though.
Cool. All right, everybody out there, thank you for swinging by and checking out episode 10 of Horizon Exploration. Episode 11 will be happening in a couple of weeks. We will be taking a break next week on the, I believe, 29th. Let me just double check. Yeah, the 29th next week, Horizon Exploration will be on a break, and we'll resume weekly after, as long as we don't have any conflicts within the group. So, episode 11, we will see if the party makes it out of the growing catastrophe that begins to form around and up ahead, as well as what happened with the settlement as the party rushes back to regroup with Banuk, Cedar, and the rest of the camp. And from there, we will continue our adventures in Horizon Exploration. So once again, thank you, everyone. Have a fantastic weekend, and all of the above. But we will see you next time. And as always, take it easy. Bye.
Bye-bye.